Hello, everyone. I'm Dren Hatamata. How are you doing tonight? I'm going to be reading some more CreepyPasta. Let me check the chat. So, I'm probably not going to go as long in general, but we'll get some stories out of the way. 8,000 stories to go through. Not too much time to do it. But alrighty. So, as what I'm trying to make customary, feel free to put on some background music if you like. Otherwise, I'll be mostly reading in silence. If you want to create your own sense of ambiance, by all means. But sometimes silence has its own ambiance as well. So do with that information as you will. Make sure I'm not worried about anything else. Yeah. Alright. So the last story we had was the copy. So now we'll be moving on from that. Hopefully I won't get freaked the fuck out this time. Forbid. Alright. Copycat. I used to have a friend named Michael. We hung out all the time. Granted, this was back in elementary and middle school, but we still hung out all the time, even if our perception of all the time was few times a week. We didn't care. We were buds, best friends. We were inseparable. Michael always was very peculiar. Maybe that's maybe that's why we were always friends. It seems that we were the weird kids at school. You know, the ones that are always playing Pokemon or card games, that kind of fun stuff, while other kids were talking about girls and how cool they were and how they were going out this weekend. That kind of bullshit. Anyway, Michael always talked about his friend that was always following him everywhere and liked the same exact things he did. One thing that you should know is that Michael hated it when people copied him. In fact, he despised it so much that he's gotten into fights for it. But this strange thing he didn't mind his friend at first. He didn't mind his friend at first. In fact, he seemed to like him more than me, which I don't care much considering I never met him nor did I even think he existed at the time. Hey, Jorgogo. Oh yeah, reading creepypastas. Michael kept getting weirder and weirder as time went on. At some points he would just sometimes he would be just borderline psycho. Schizo. But fucking cat? How I knew this was how I knew this was when one day he came to me saying that him and his friends had a fight. Him and his friend had a fight, but his friend didn't leave. He just stayed with him and followed him everywhere and copied him. At one point, he pulled his sleeve and showed scars. He said that he was testing him to see if he would copy him, and to a certain extent, he did. Michael said no matter what he did, he couldn't find his friend. He couldn't fight his friend. The police arrived at my door with the bad news. Michael had killed himself. I walked into his house to see how his mother was and if there was anything I could do to help. I walked into the quiet house and saw a blood-stained bathroom. Michael shot himself in the head with his dad's 9mm that he had gotten a few weeks ago because there was a break-in next door to him. There was a suicide note at the top corner of the shattered mirror, but the bullet went sideways through his head, and the mirror obviously smashed on purpose. All the note said was, "He can't copy me anymore." That's actually a really neat one. I find that really interesting. Oh, Momosuke. What's going on? Alright. Yeah, that's actually a really good one. Few grammatical errors, but that's pretty nice. Cat. I have a cat on my lap now. The corner. If you stand alone at the corner of Church Street and Market Street in Charleston, South Carolina at 3 a.m., you see a man coming down Charles Street wearing a black hat and black cape with stringy white hair and withered skin. He'll stop at one of the two corners directly across from where you're standing, and start to walk the corner directly opposite from where he was standing. When he reaches about halfway, dead center of the intersection, and nobody else has arrived, he'll stop, turn, and look directly at you. If you do not blink for roughly 20 to 30 seconds, he'll tip his hat to you and walk along his way, disappearing into the dark shadows of the trees that line the streets. Nobody knows what happens if you follow him. If you do blink before he tips his hat, the very first thing you will see is the man standing directly in front of you. He'll grin maliciously at you and draw a blade hidden in the shaft of his cane and slash you across the throat. But you will not feel a thing. You will, however, pass out and remain in comatose state until the sun rises over the horizon. For the next 6 nights, you will have a reoccurring dream of the man walking down the street, appearing suddenly before you and slashing your throat. On the 7th night, the events will replay the same up until he stops in the middle of the intersection. At this point, he'll say, "It's been fun playing with you, boy, but now it's time for you to go. Don't ever let me see you again." He'll then tip his hat and walk away before you wake up. Nobody knows what happens if you visit the corner a second time. That's enough. There's just another snoring cat. Yeah, that's actually a pretty neat one too. Yeah, why all of a sudden this one, the short one's the one? Yeah, I kind of like that. For one thing, it's not like a particularly scary character or anything. It's situational. It's like a ritual pasta. Ooh, I saw that name right off the bat. Corruption. The scream of the trooper was horrifying. He was twisting on the floor and screaming for the sweet release of death. There was nothing I could do. The cause of his suffering was clear in his scream. He was corrupted. And unfortunately, so was I. But there was a difference. I was corrupted, but protected. But it was growing. Growing, eating me from the inside. I had to hide my face. It had changed. I couldn't recognize it anymore. This corruption, this fatal illness, has been around for years. I wasn't the only one, though. It took my friends, too. But now I'm alone. Alone with this condition, this fever. It doesn't have a cure. It will kill me someday. But before that, I must fight it. I must fight it because I'm the only one that can stop this. All my other friends, they are gone. It took them. That thing. It's an exact copy of me. It knows my moves. It knows my weaknesses. It knows me. But now I must face it, even if it kills me. It will kill me anyway. It took the other bounty hunters. It will do the same to me. This feeling of dread, this feeling of impending doom, the feeling of no escape. I must, for I am the bounty huntress, Samus or Aran. Did I seriously fuck that up? Samus Aran? How? God damn it. Anyway, I like some of these that do that. They put, and I mean, okay, this pasta was 2012. Dread wasn't even thought of yet. This was like dealing with prime corruptions. Like, Yeah, it's funny. Uh, how interesting it is because the term dread now in regards to the Metroid series is definitely synonymous because of the game. Uh, but I will say, I believe it's Metroid Fusion. Metroid Fusion, when you see, was it SAX? I believe was what they called it. The the super copy, basically. Um, and then the first time you see it, it is terrifying. And you're talking about a 2D side scroller platformer. For what it's worth, Metroid has always been really good at giving you a sense of dread and horror. Like it is really just one tone shift away from being like Aliens. Like sci-fi horror is very close to that. The coughing. Deep in the ruins of Fairfield, Pennsylvania, lives a horrible monster. After the city collapsed due to a horrible plague, many monsters and demons began to evolve. But one of the but this one is the most horrible. Blind on blind on one half of its face due to several massive tumors bearing claws that would slice diamond. It has the ability to teleport, masked in thick black smoke. But but the worst of all is its tongue. It will climb up to a roof, find you, and capture you. It will shoot out of its massively long tongue. It will shoot out its massively long tongue, making sure you're dead via suffocation, or forcing your ribs to break or your neck to snap. It shows no mercy. It does not care. All it cares about is its insatiable hunger and the massive pain it has in its throat due to coughing so much. It is hungry, and it's looking for you. But don't worry, it's only in a video game. Resident Evil? Is it Resident Evil? It says Plague, so that's why I'm inclined to think it's Resident Evil. It has all the tendril type stuff. Can someone confirm that? I'm pretty sure it's Resident Evil. I could, well, it could also be Silent Hill, I guess. I don't know. These are games I have not delved far enough into. I hate that. All right. Here's a couple I wanted to get into. Okay, they are different. All right. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Lost episode. Who doesn't remember the show Courage the Cowardly Dog? The show is about a purple dog and his elderly owners who always run into monsters and other creepy stuff. It scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, although I always loved watching it. The show was sadly cancelled back in 2002. The fuck, it wasn't. A few weeks ago, I was flipping through the channels at 4 a.m. I'm an insomniac, so I obviously was having trouble sleeping. I was happy to see Courage was on Cartoon Network, so I put it on. Awesome, the Demon in the Mattress episode. I always love this one. After watching the episode and experiencing nostalgia, another episode came on, but for some reason the opening of the show was in black and white and grainy, kind of like a really old film, but it was completely silent. After the opening title, the show came on normally. It began with Courage sitting in the basement lying in a pool of what looks like blood. It then cut to Eustace at the top of the staircase, slamming the door and saying his usual stupid dog line. I was pretty sure I had never seen this one. I was pretty shocked when I saw the blood. Courage's face looked severely depressed as he just lay there on the floor. The sound of glass breaking was heard upstairs and then cut to Muriel sitting in her rocking chair with Eustace on top of her strangling her. I felt extremely uncomfortable at this point. The screen cut to black and Muriel's piercing scream was heard. Total blackness for a moment, and then cut back into the hospital room. Lying in the bed was Muriel, in a coma-like state. No audio was playing at all. Suddenly Eustace appeared on the side of her and gave an evil and menacing look towards me, until grabbing the oxygen tube, keeping Muriel alive, and snapping it in half. The only sound heard was a heart rate monitor, indicating her heart had stopped, and that she was dead. Eustace just suddenly disappeared, and Muriel's lifeless body turned into a pile of rotting meat. The blackness appeared again. The sound of static was heard for a brief moment until it cut to Courage in the graveyard in the rain, digging a grave that said Muriel Bag on it. From out of nowhere, he picked up the pile of rotting meat and dumped it into the hole that he dug in the ground. He then covered it back up with dirt. He howled up at the moon above him. The scene faded into black, and then the end credits played normally. Nothing has been the same ever since. My insomnia is worse than ever, and I haven't been able to sleep at all since. You can kind of see something. It wouldn't be gory, but you could see a plot kind of coming into that. Could you imagine if Courage the Cowardly Dog episodes, if they decide to revamp the show and they just started using creepypasta plots? For one thing, if they use your creepypasta, fucking kudos. That is something to be proud. That's like having Weird Al Yankovic parody your song awesome. At least in my opinion. Like you've hit something. So I would kind of love that. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Everyone here loves Courage, but who exactly is he? He's a scared dog that does whatever he can to protect his home, nowhere. Where is nowhere? Is it a place where there is nothing? No one? No hope? Hell? Courage protects his home and makes sure no one harms Muriel. His master sits in his chair and hates everything and everyone. But he knows but hate, despise, and greed. Whenever something evil comes to attack or rule over nowhere, Courage fights back, keeping Muriel safe and Eustace home from being destroyed. Muriel always sees a new head on Courage whenever something evil comes to warn her, giving him multiple heads. Courage will stay forever in hell, nowhere, to protect his home, keeping mankind, Muriel, safe from the evils of hell. Quack representing greed. Naughty Fred, murderer. Cats, hate. His master, Satan, Eustace, will rule over and hate all that is hell, nowhere. He is stuck in the middle of hell and loves his home. He is Cerberus, our courageous, cowardly dog. That's kind of sweet, though. This is kind of sweet. Kinda. Bananas Cupcake. I'm guessing that's who did the thing. That's kind of sweet, though. Oh, yeah, courageous cowardly dog. Courage is our boy, man. Fucking yeah. I'm not sure I like this one already. Cowhead. Note, this was on crack.com. It is not original to me. Everyone loves a good, scary story. That false sense of fear that fills you with adrenaline if you happen to be short of cocaine on that particular day. Of course, once the story is over and you've succeeded in giving your younger sibling bedwetting night terrors, everything should go back to normal. Unless it doesn't, because you've apparently died of fucking fright. The story of Cowhead is apparently so terrifying, so horrific, so psychologically soul wrecking, that the exact details of the tale have long since been lost. To hear it would leave you in violently trembling mess for days until you eventually died of fright, much like the effects of Stephanie Meyer's writing on most of the general public. However, due to what we assume is a Rangoon like assume must be its Rangoon like superpowers, no full variation is known today, though mention of it can be found in various written accounts dating back to the 17th century. We must assume it is hard to recount a story of anyone if you're, dead. As the story itself remains largely unknown, there is little threat to you. There is little threat that you will hear Cowhead being passed around your Cub Scout campfire anytime soon. And Luna Levinci, I guess, uploaded this. They said they weren't the originator of this, but they did post it, so credit to that, I guess. So I don't know what to make of this one. There's like nothing. There is like the folklore aspect, but there's just nothing. It says it doesn't have the information, but that's kind of self-defeating, unfortunately. All right, the cracks. This is a completely true story. People on here are somewhat knowledgeable of the paranormal, so I thought someone might come shed some light. So I was on Skype with my friend Spencer Nirvana. Jason, are you still up? Yeah, what's up? Oh God, the cracks. Sometimes I'd be half asleep and my body would jerk some. I'd open my eyes and the ceiling of my room would be covered in cracks for a little less than 1 second before fading away. I used to think it was just some form of trick. But today my foot was jerking forward a bunch and I ignored it. I eventually opened my eyes and I saw the cracks again, only they stayed for over 3 seconds and I could clearly see them. Anyone hear of something like this happening? If so, can it be helped? The Osloid. Um, that's not one I'm familiar with. See, okay, so eyes are weird, right? Like, if I'm thinking about it, it's like pressure in your eyeballs for whatever reason, because you can see, like, the idea of cracks. I don't know what they're actually seeing, though. Because if you see it, this sounds more like a medical problem. If your body's jerking, you might have a blood pressure problem. I'm guessing. Because I know, like, if I put enough pressure in my head, I can start seeing, like, the veins in my eyes. Um, if I close my eyes and I look at a light, I can see the veins in my eyelids. And it's kind of neat, but. And then you open your eyes and then you can see what's left of the refraction of the image or something like that. So it's interesting, but I don't. I'd probably go to a medical doctor about that. What's making you lurch forward like that? and what would cause your eyes to see cracks. Depending on what you're actually seeing, I don't know if you mean like if you look around, there's a bunch of different cracks, or if the cracks just kind of follow your eyes. Because I have had something similar happen to that. So if that's any consolation, the Osloid is 2013, so it's probably a little bit late. What have you? Crash to Insanity. One day I bought a copy of Crash to Insanity at a flea market. The vendor told me not to put it in the PS2 and press start or select at the same time. Start and select at the same time. I went home and put the game in the tray, and out of curiosity, I pressed start and select when I was on Insanity Island. Something weird happened when I did that. The music turned from happy to evil, and the enemies acted more aggressive. I kept playing and everything went back to normal, but then every light in the house shut off and the screen turned black. Then on the screen in big letters it read, "You have released him. Leave now." I saw somebody coming upstairs, but he had a very oddly shaped silhouette. He had 2 pointy ears, glowing green eyes, 2 large hands, and then it came to me. What was coming down my stairs was evil Crash. He leapt down and started chasing me and the Bandicoot pursuit music started up. Lucky for me, I was next to my back door. I ran outside and evil Crash followed behind me. I jumped in my car and drove away. But he kept going faster and faster, and then it hit me. I have to unplug my PS2. I turned the car around and ran him over. He laid there, dead as a doornail. I rushed back to the house, but moments before I unplugged it, he jumped through the window. He ran as fast as he could with a very creepy expression on his face. I unplugged the PS2, but he didn't go away. I then opened the tray and snapped the disc, and then he evaporated and was gone. To this day, I do not play Crash to Insanity or watch videos about the game. This is my first boss, so keep that in mind. I don't think that. Okay. How avid of a reader are you? Because this does need work. Um, this was a trope at that point. The getting a game from a flea. Oh damn! Getting a game from like a flea market or garage sale. Um, it's hard to do anything that pops out, and I think like if you really want to do this pasta, if you expanded on it, like this one would have to have like something brought up, and I don't think you would have like it being looking like Crash, like just evil Crash. I think you'd probably want to do something a bit different, like it would become a more realistic image. Like you see like a buff man with gloves and pointy ears for some reason, something like that. And then it's not until there's a little bit of light that you realize that you can see his snout kind of outward, and that his eyes seem to be red where the whites are, like he's a whole bunch of blood is pumping through them, like when your eyes are irritated, and that his pupils are very dilated, and they seem to be honing in on, and they seem to be just staring blankly. And that's when you see that tongue come out of his mouth. Um, he starts to slowly walk towards you just a little bit, and as he enters a little bit more light, you can see that blood seems to be on the gloves of his hands, and on the ends of his fingers seem to be like dagger-like claws. That's probably the direction I would have gone with it if I was going to do something like this. Something to really, because Evil Crash isn't really what rustles my jimmies, if you will. Uh, huh? Oh, this must not be complete. Shit. Crater. 18. January 18th, 1964. Vladimir has never been and Vladimir has never seen anything like this in all his years in the Soviet intelligence officer. His the fist-sized piece of, well, he wasn't quite sure what it was exactly, but the easiest way to describe it would be stone. Though it was unlike any stone we've seen before on this earth. Fuck. It had an ethereal glow to it, and one felt an acute sense of dysphoria when approaching it. One of the peasants that brought it back to his office reported blacking out as he got closer to the stone. So far, this hasn't happened. Krivkita had seen spots when he first picked it up, but that was the worst side effects that Vladimir. Damn. Son of a bitch. That Vladimir had set up at this point. Fyodor had some tests he wanted to run, so Vladimir broke from his silent contemplation of the stone, and had Ephraim take it from Fyodor's lab. And then January 20th, 1964, and there's nothing. So I guess I must have got this when they had went ahead and posted it without finishing it. I was gonna finish it later. It was a whip, I guess. Damn. Oh well. We will never know the end of that story, will we? Alright. The craters. My surroundings are dead and drab. Gray skies stretch further than thine mortal eyes can see. The rain coldly embraces my body and slips down my skin. The ground beneath me is solid and brown, with many holes among it. What might dwell in these craters? Creatures that man should never see? A ghastly monster with 6 eyes and a mouth full of yellow blood-stained razor-blade teeth? With a matted coat drenched in entrails and rainwater? Or is there nothing, just the earth's structure? I don't know. Slowly I hear a rustling noise. My eyes dart all around my dull habitat. This living hell progresses onwards. I can't take this anymore. I've tried to take my life many times, but the cold, bittersweet taste of death would not have one of my kind. I have let the crimson pour from my stems and fallen into an unconscious state, only to reawaken from my wounds mended. I have tried everything. I must have walked millions of miles. Please, God, let it end. Just strike me down. I have suffered enough. This landscape is just like my soul, lifeless, unhappy, and drab. I haven't seen any signs of life, but I have heard them. God, the noises. The guttural shrieks and growls I hear late at night. I'm afraid those holes are holding some life, but I dare not enter them. I shall wait, for they might be the only thing to slay me. This will be my last entry. If anything finds this god-forsaken land and journal, turn back. Tell my family I died a long time ago. I just wasn't told. There are footsteps coming near me. Goodbye. Please, let this be the end. Okay, so the creators. Now, like, this is a pretty neat one. I could see someone make this into like a 45-minute movie. I think that would be really neat. Crawling in the dark. There's something following me. I think it's in the basement, though. I should explain. My name is Tammy Day. I am haunted by what I call the crawling beast. It started a month ago when my friend and I were walking around the woods behind her house. In the distance, we saw a big, broken-down house. Look, Tammy, she says and points with the wooden door to the wooden door. Of course, we go in it. We open the door and go in. I hear a bump coming from above. Kelly, I think we should go, I say to her. Go? Why? She asks me. I think something's upstairs. And I don't want to find out what that is, I replied nervously. You have got to stop reading CreepyPasta, she yells. We could, Kelly stops. Tammy, what is it crawling down the stairs? What is that crawling down the stairs? She asks. I turn around. My blood turns to ice. It's a weird creature. Its skin was yellow and hanging from its bones. Its eyes blood red. Its legs. Where are its legs? I grab onto Kelly's arm and we take off back to her house. With every one of our steps, it takes a massive crawl. Step. 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 This is the pattern of that creature and us. We head into her house. And lock every one of the doors and windows. We should be safe, I say. That isn't true. I make us some cheeseburgers in paradise, what I call cheeseburgers and fries, and we talk about the creature. That night, while we watched American Idol, we heard a noise from the basement. We knew what it was. The crawling beast. We walked downstairs, split up. There are 2 basement stairs. And we broke rule number 1 of... Oh shit, it's crawling to me. I need to get out of here. I'm typing this at the hospital. The paramedics said that I was found with the beast on top of me. He promptly shot it. Luckily, I managed to escape with only a cut around my wrist. The beast was apparently trying to make me like it. It failed. Kelly never did. Theory? Kelly killed the first beast. And before it died, it ripped Kelly's legs off. The beast sure did have her hair and eyes. I look out my window to see an ambulance strangling with another patient, struggling with another patient. They rush it in and sit on the other bed in my room. They close the door. The patient crawls towards me, and I fall to the ground. You can't escape me, Tammy Day. I will find you everywhere you go. I am Annabelle. It whispers icily into my ear. It crawls away. Annabelle? I've heard that before. That was my mother's name. When I was 12, she was ripped in half. That explains why she was so attracted to me. The patient later dies. I am safe. For now. Alright, I think one, maybe two more. Two more. Alright. Crazy. They call me crazy. I'm not crazy. I just have a different understanding of what's really going on. A better understanding. I see the truth. I see things that are following people. Each person is being followed by one. And they have no idea, but I do. I've tried telling them. I've done everything I can think of to convince them. But they don't listen. They think my warnings are just insensible ramblings. I can't take it anymore. For as long as I can remember, I've been keeping these things away, putting off their attacks for as long as possible, but all for nothing. I used to think they deserved my help, but if they don't appreciate it, if they don't even believe me, then why am I helping them? I could create chaos. I could cause mayhem, and all I have to do is stop holding the things back. Stop preventing one right before it strikes. Stop preventing one right before it strikes. I could stop it all. It's as simple as that. They'll regret calling me crazy. I could see that being like a short. The creation. In 1537 AD, a creature was created. It's unknown how the creature was created, or who created it, but it was the only one. It could walk on its hind legs or crawl. It had sharp, threatening teeth. It was a creature that could kill, and that's what it did. It killed stealthily. Nobody even knew it existed. The sudden disappearance of people and animals were marked as unknown disappearance and forgotten about. The creature wasn't a normal life form. It couldn't die from age, but it could from other forms of dying. So it continued to hunt for food, but mostly to satisfy its sadistic need for violence. Eventually, as the creature started growing older, though at a very slow rate, it got more tired and started letting its guard down, not being as stealthy and getting sighted a few times. So it stopped for a while, only killing when it needed desperately to eat. He devised a plan that he would stay completely hidden for a few years. Then he would go all out, attacking every living thing he sees and hunting for more. The second part of the plan, in which he attacks, I suppose, was supposed to be January 1st, 2014. Luckily, a man named James Audrey reported to have killed this creature, but oddly didn't have anything of any form to prove his claim to be true. James died a week after his claim. The cause of death? Unknown. His death was marked as an unknown disappearance. I think that probably does it for tonight. Short, sweet, whatever. I'm tired. Alright. So I think that'll do it. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We did 14, that's nice. 14 in an hour. Alright. This was kind of neat. There's a lot of open ends that I don't know about. So thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to be my buddy. You can feel free to check out all my links below. You can see my Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, and all that down in the description below. And always remember, you have potential. Bye.